What's up everyone, welcome back to a new video on the Alien Agro channel. Today we will be simply looking at the markets. I will start with the general markets like usual. So without more having said, let's start with the S&P right here. While I was expecting this to either chop more or even get back towards the range lows, we simply did not. Yesterday, of course, I missed the daily market outlook with the simple reasoning of the scenarios that we were looking at exactly playing out like expected. Only ETH went a little deeper than I expected, to be honest. For the rest, pretty much all just happened the way I expected it to. And the charts simply are still quite similar. So today, a couple of things have changed since 2 days ago, so let's get right into it. For the S&P, we simply see we are trying to break this level, with of course this being that key resistance on the daily, where if we close above this, we really need to see this getting flipped to look at a possible new all-time high, which I simply expect it to do. And I have my eyes still somewhere around here, around that 6600 level over the long run before perhaps the end of the year. So with the S&P having looked at the NDQ, meaning the Nasdaq, it simply shows pretty similar price action, with it even being a little more positive, since here we simply have a great structure with higher highs and higher lows. And for the Dow Jones, this simply was unaffected by any of the news yesterday, since this is more of the industrial fund. So with the general markets having had these, simply all three of them look pretty good. The only thing we should be concerned for is that we want to see this being held to see a possible breakout. But if we reclaim this to the downside, it can get a little bit bad. So as long as we hold this, I think the general markets in terms of stocks should do pretty good over the coming time. So with BTC, the thing of course that we looked at was quite clear that we wanted to see this getting swept, and we pretty much have gotten the sweep. The only thing I do have to admit, of course, with crypto, you can't be 100% accurate. So the thing I expected is to sweep this wick and perhaps sweep this wick. I, to be honest, did not expect them to take this one out as well, but they simply did. And when we look at the 1 hour, it was pretty much as clean as a reversal could get. You simply see this green bar getting printed right here. We get it in the size of candle, meaning no one is in real control. And then we got this bullish hammer with us moving towards that upside. Currently we are at that critical resistance for the 4 hour, which simply have gotten that chop previously in. So we do want to see this being flipped to look at that previous week open. So for that being said, let's get into the little bit of a lower time frame. It's quite clear that this is just a major reversal. The thing I do think, this recent news between Trump and Elon, it just seems really off, with all the massive funds buying, with Trump's project itself buying. The timing feels off. So I have a little bit of a feeling that this was maybe a bit of market manipulation just to trap the masses and make everyone panic sell, which we really got. And when we look at the lower time frames, this just looks like a buy-in program. When you simply look at this, it's just straight up, meaning there are really big players buying here. And the way a buying program works is simply they buy and they keep buying. So the thing how they do it, if you think of the trend like right there, it's more steep, with the pullbacks being very little. And how does this really get built? They simply buy on the way up, they sell a little bit right here to create a little bit of panic, with them of course realizing minimal profits. And then when the low gets created, they buy even more, driving the price up again, and they just keep doing that, making tiny profits on the way up. But if you think you're a hedge fund or a big whale or a market maker, you simply make a shitload of money on this move up, even while you're only selling a small portion, buying back more, selling some, buying back more, selling some, buying back more. And you see how this creates such a bullish trend. So, with BTC having had and the buy programs being explained, this of course is the key resistance to flip. So let's go on to ETH. For ETH, the thing I expected, this really broke down even harder than I had anticipated before, with this major downwards move on the ETH BTC chart. And the thing I expected them pretty much to do, because this really looked like a breakdown, but I expected them to take out this wick, these ones right here, these untapped lows, and these ones, but I did not expect them to deviate from the range low. So what did I do? On this way down, I had multiple limits, with my latest limit being filled at the exact bottom, and my average entry is around right here on this candle, since I added on this way down, since the limits were laying there. So for ETH, it's quite clear that we simply are holding the range, especially when you look at the daily. It's almost onto perfection here, and this still being your key level. So when we look at the 4 hour, this also of course was your range low at this micro range. So this is the level you want to see hold. So if we go onto the 1 hour to illustrate this a little bit, because it does look like you need some sort of retest, I am not ruling out something that we do. Something like this, maybe even a short sweep, and then we retreat up. But this is a little bit too straight up to the moon for me, so I still expect some sort of pullback, with us creating a proper higher low, where we then have this type of structure, where we simply get that higher low, which makes us a clear buyer again. So for alts, you know, the token I like the most, of course, as of now, it's simply Banana. I posted it right here that I stated it was cheap on Twitter, because I haven't seen it below $20 for a long while. So I stated below $20, it simply is cheap. So when we go on to Virtual, another quite strong project, see this previous level, we've broke it and we are trying to reclaim it, with this of course being a 4 hour level, with this minor deviation we had previously, and we simply seem to be doing copy paste. So if I get a little arc right here, and I'll put it like this, let me change this color to blue to make it a little more clear. This really seems like just a copy paste. You look at it, just the depth of it and the way it is being formed. Look at the amount of candles and the 4 hour candle to create that reversal, with us getting an indecisive candle again. Here you see this reversal candle, indecisive, getting that move towards the upside to form that deviation. Let me put it a little more straight. So Virtual pretty much is looking decent. As long as it can reclaim this zone, I would be looking at possible upside, with my point of interest being right here. So let's get onto hype. I didn't even make a lower low. This is just the casino always wins, like I said before, and this is that mid-range, of course. If we look at the daily, this is one of the strongest pairs out there on the market as of now. For TIA, it simply broke down, but this gives us a good buying opportunity. And the thing, someone asked me in the Discord would we buy this right here? And I stated, it looks very cheap, but with ETH and BTC being down here right now, I wanted to wait it out a little more. I said the risk to reward is quite good, so it could be a buying opportunity, but I am not taking it. What I want to see before I start piling into TIA longs again is this simply being reclaimed. Because if this gets reclaimed, we have a major power of 3, with this pretty much being your high from a week of logic and these being your lows, where you consolidate around the lows, you sweep those lows, and you create that PO3, with this being that key level to reclaim. So I simply expect the moment we start reclaiming this level, momentum will pick up heavily. So I am not really bothered by missing this part of the move when we think if we reclaim this, that your next target should be right here. Which, if you think from right here, this being reclaimed, it's still a major move, so I'm really not that bothered with missing this first 50%. And here I have a lot more confirmation for it to go up. So now that we have TIA, let's get onto Ondo. This one looks a little weaker when you compare it to one of the other RWA projects, with that being Pendle. We simply look at it on a relative strength base. As of now, we simply see that Pendle is making a higher low and Ondo made a lower high. I still expect this to run in the long term, but when we're talking about like a couple day basis or a week basis, Pendle simply looks stronger. So the last thing I want to touch on is, of course, the ETH BTC chart, with this simply being the same as previous, and we would like to see that the 0.5 level being reclaimed. And when we look at the lower time frame, I stated this in VP's Discord, that is this crucial level to flip on the daily, with this being right here. When we extend it all the way towards here, you simply see where this level is correlating from. See, here it was previous resistance, here it was a previous support, here we got a net bounce from it, and here within this range it also proved to be a critical point. So with all that having said, this was the video for today. My excuses for not uploading a daily market outlook yesterday, simply I decided to make the video a bit later onto the day and I forgot to upload it, making the video irrelevant. And with, of course, the reasoning, the chart pretty much looked the same and the path that we had expected simply played out anyways, and the levels pretty much did not change. So with all that having said, have a nice day, keep trading. I hope you liked the video. If there's something else you want me to add into this video, make sure to let me know in the comments. Have a nice day, guys.